Do a little extended time together, spend about 20 minutes. We'll do about 10 minutes kind of going over the nuts and bolts of what we're expecting, if anything's changed, the impacts you can expect, and then we'll take about 10 minutes or so to answer some questions. So we have that number for you. The number to text your question to is 336-379-5775. Again, that is 336-379-5775. 5775. Some of you sent your questions in earlier. Appreciate that. That was great to interact with you all. So again, if you have any questions, go ahead and send those in, and I would love to answer those. Again, that's 336-379-5775. All right, let's dive into what we have going on. Well, we definitely have a massive winter storm, that's for sure, because you can see it. Look how it stretches from Texas all the way western Texas, all the way towards the Triad, right? And then even up into the Northeast. This is a huge winter storm, and it is definitely going to bring impacts to our area for sure. And you can see a lot of the winter storm watches, which were blue, have now changed to pink, which is winter storm warnings. That means the same impacts kind of expected. We're just now to the warning stage, right? We're closer to the event. We have higher confidence in the impacts that we'll see. Maybe still looking at some of the amounts, especially when it comes to freezing rain, sleet. I think that's going to be the biggest question for us is, how much sleet will we see? How much freezing rain will we see? Those are all answers that we're going to continue to hone in on, if you will, over the next couple of days. I want to pop myself off because I want to point out the ice storm. They're going to see a significant ice storm across the upstate of South Carolina, even into parts of southwest North Carolina. Some parts, unfortunately, ravaged by Helene, are now going to have to deal with a very, very potent ice storm. Now, for the rest of us, you see the pink, so winter storm warnings. I do want to state very clearly, this does not mean we will see less significant impact than those in the ice storm warning. It just means we're going to mix up our precipitation. So we're going to see a lot of sleet, a little bit of snow mixed in there, and then we're going to see ice. I think definitely going to see ice. The amounts at this point, I think whether or not you trend closer to half an inch or even less, back to a quarter of an inch is horrible ice. As you'll see here in just a moment, we'll go over the impacts. But, yep, we're expected to see the impacts. That'll go, and then it'll last for a while. And I do want to point out Charlotte is included in that ice storm warning. They are going to predominantly see ice from this. It is not going to be a fun day in the Queen City. And then up towards the triangle there, Research Triangle, Raleigh, going to be seeing more of what we're seeing, kind of the mixed bag of precipitation plus the ice on top of that. And even winter weather advisory extending out to the coast, and winter storm watches up towards, Norfolk area there, and Hampton Roads. Even back into East Tennessee, seeing several winter storm warnings. My folks are under a winter storm warning there back in Northeast Tennessee, and winter weather advisories for the mountains, even some ice storm warnings there, it looks like, in parts of the area. Back towards maybe south of Knoxville, going to see some ice accumulation. So here's how we're going to break it down. This is the timing for you. We're talking probably a little burst of snow, maybe from about 3 o'clock on to about 6 o'clock. That's going to be short-lived because, as I show you as we advance this, look at the purple taking over. And notice the temperatures. Okay, we're in the teens. We're at 18 degrees. That's cold. And we're going to be in the low 20s to teens for a good portion of this event, and that's going to keep us cold. Some people talking about what are the chances of this just completely missing us and being cold rain. That would be a 0% chance. You're going to have impacts, whether it's from the sleet, whether it's the freezing rain, whether it's a combination of the both, or even just the icing itself. It's going to be impactful. This will be a significant storm for someone across the Carolinas. I hope it's not the Triad, but there's definitely the potential for icing, especially into Raleigh, and then back towards Charlotte, going to see some significant impact. So we'll start off as this quick burst of snow. Things start to warm up a little bit. We see sleet then take over as we go overnight, Saturday night into Sunday. You will hear sleet falling most likely at times. And it'll be pretty loud too. It's ice pellets. Not to be confused with grapple, which is, of course, the Dippin' Dots that we talk about. But this is going to be ice pellets, kind of more translucent. Notice the wind flow here is still out of the northeast. That's the high pressure saying, I am keeping the cold air locked in to the Triad, and that is going to be our wedge. The cold air wedge is not our friend in this scenario, especially when we're talking freezing rain. This type of event we call an overrunning event because the warmer air is overrunning and overriding up the top of the cold air. So think of the cold air as really dense, right? It sinks down towards the surface, and then you get the warm air to rise up over that. That's what's happening. We're getting this lifting over the cold air, and now we have this big, huge column of warm air, so the snowflakes fall into that, melt, and then we get basically rain falling into a surface that is going to be below freezing, well below freezing, and it's going to, the ice is going to, there's no problem for it. There's no problem for it to accrete, to accumulate, unfortunately, with this scenario. And notice how it lightens up a little bit, and you're like, oh, that's good news. Well, that's not good news, because that could mean freezing drizzle. And if we see a period of freezing drizzle, folks, let me just tell you, the ice amounts are definitely going to be going on the upward trend, because freezing drizzle accumulates to everything. Think of freezing rain as it hits something and then it runs off, right? Slides off. We're going to see, if we see periods of freezing drizzle before we see rain, that's going to accumulate ice pretty quickly on everything. And then we're going to get the rain on top of that, and if it's already cold, it's going to be easy to just freeze ice upon ice, and that's where your totals start going up because of this overrunning event. Do not believe this at all. Monday, I don't think we're going to get to freezing there as we go into our Monday morning. You can see the wind flow there, a little bit out of the southwest. It is my experience with the cold air wedge that we don't erode it very quickly. So we're going to keep the temperatures cold, and we're going to continue to see those impacts. I think this probably needs to be tweaked a little bit. That major ice threat now back up into parts of, say, Forsyth County, most of Davidson County, southern portions there of, say, Guilford County. Alamance, yes, they could see a major ice threat with this. And then, of course, down to Charlotte and over to Raleigh looking at major ice threat as well. So a better graphic to show you that would be the totals. This is our snow and sleet total forecast Saturday evening through Sunday morning. That's when we're going to see the best chance of sleet. This is going to be primarily sleet, not all snow. So you see 2 to 4 inches. 2 to 4 inches of snow. No. It's going to be primarily 2 to 4 inches of sleet with a little bit of snow at the beginning there. And then the same thing there as we go towards the south, we hit the warmer air. We're going to see less of that and then more ice instead. This is the impact that is going to hit us the hardest, I think. This is the freezing rain, the ice. We're talking half an inch or greater. That is significant impact. And as you'll see here in the slide, I'm going to show you what you can expect with different ice amounts. Most of the entire viewing area is going to see potentially a 1/4 inch of ice up to half an inch of ice. Now, the trends on that, maybe some of the higher resolution models backing off, buying a little more sleet. So the question is, how much sleet do we see? If we see a longer period of sleet into our Sunday, we'll see less freezing rain. That's good news. That's what we want to see. If we see a longer period of freezing rain and the sleet ends earlier on Sunday, then we're in for a long event, and it's going to be very damaging to infrastructure, power lines, trees. It's going to be a bad ice storm. So we want to see these totals go down. So we've been looking at the latest data, so our forecast might get a few tweaks as we go towards the evening, but we're continuing. We always are watching the latest data coming out and tweaking your forecast, just so you know, behind the scenes. So you can see that pink, that's again a half an inch, maybe a little bit more. Let me pop myself off here so you can see these impacts. All right, let's start off with 1/10 of an inch of ice, and then we'll get to some questions here. Light glaze of road on sidewalks, slick bridges, things start to become slick. They become ice rinks at 1/10 of an inch of ice. Isolated power outage is possible. We're not talking now. We're probably talking more than 1/10 of an inch of ice, closer to a 1/4 inch of ice. If that happens, we're going to see icy roads all over the place. We're going to see tree limbs start to sag and break. Numerous power outages should be expected. Don't think that, maybe we won't lose power. I think there's a good chance a lot of us lose power, and that's why we've been saying be ready to be stuck at your house for days, potentially without power. Maybe you do get blessed enough that you don't lose power. Still plan for losing power, and then when you don't lose power, you don't have to worry about it. But we don't want it the other way around, where you don't plan to lose power and you lose power and now you don't have a plan. Okay, so plan as if you're going to lose power, because widespread power outages will be likely. As we trend towards the half an inch, I mean, we're talking significant ice storm. Think 2014, long-term power outages possible, widespread tree damage, dangerous travel on roads. It'll be dangerous with any ice that we get. And unfortunately, our temperatures aren't going to let the ice go anywhere. So we're talking dangerous travel through basically all of Sunday. Stay off the roads. If you can help it, don't get on the road on Saturday. Saturday morning into the afternoon, you might have a little bit of a time to do some extra prep. Power outages, they're going to start ramping up as the ice starts to ramp up. So freezing rain, it'll start into the morning sometime on Sunday. As we start to build up those amounts, that's when you're going to start to see the impact of dangerous travel. And then also the power outages are going to start going up as well. So this is called the Winter Storm Severity Index, and I wanted to just give you an idea of the impacts that we could see. I put the place names on here. I literally just pulled this graphic out and made it so that I could show this to you all, because this gives you an idea of what we're looking at. So this is Friday through Sunday, 3-day impacts. Obviously Friday to Saturday, not going to see much in the way of impacts. It's mainly Saturday, Sunday, as I'll show you here in just a bit. But do you see the what to expect? That in red says considerable disruptions, and that's most of the southern tier of the Triad down to Charlotte over to the Triangle. Considerable, disruptions, that's to your daily life. So your daily routine is definitely going to be changed. Disruptions are expected, for the orange, and that's going to encompass the rest of the Triad. So that's what I wanted to show you that on just the what to expect. That's what the colors mean. So remember, red's considerable, and then you get into the orange. So now I'm going to put in our counties so you can see what this looks like with our place names on it. So we'll just give that a chance to load here. In the meantime, I'll check on some of the questions. So there you go. So that level 4, considerable disruptions to daily life, that's most of the southern tier of the Triad, does encompass parts of Guilford County, parts of Winston-Salem or Forsyth County, and then Alamance. Almost all of Alamance County is included in that. All of Randolph County is included in that. Whether you're included in the red or the orange, you're going to have disruptions. That's what this is saying. We are going to see impacts. Breaking it down, Saturday into Sunday, not as severe. You'll have to wait for it to update. There it goes. So you can see maybe some minor impacts there, a little bit better impacts across parts of southwest North Carolina as they start with the ice earlier. But as we shift Sunday into Monday, these run from Sunday morning to Monday morning, that's when we see the considerable impacts because of the ice and because of the sleet and all of them combining together to live with each other in mass hysteria. But that's what we're talking about as far as, the impacts on that. Let me pop myself off here. We'll get to questions in just a moment. So Saturday, Sunday, it's going to be weather impact alert days, and that stretches into early next week because of the dangerous cold. So I do want to leave a good amount of time here, about 7 minutes or so, to look at some of the questions that came in. Let's see here. What does the winter weather impact look like for the Greensboro Pleasant Garden area? So Greensboro, Guilford County itself, I'll go back there to the impact. And then I can just zoom in here on Guilford County. So give me a moment here. This is interactive, so I'm on the fly answering your questions. This is not pre-recorded, it's live. So this is kind of it's interesting why they did this. I don't know, and it could be because of elevation, because I don't know Guilford County that well. But so you can see the city center there kind of in the impacts and then considerable impacts in the red, right? Okay, let's just say we are going to see significant impacts. For Guilford County, it's going to start off with a little bit of maybe a blast of snow if we get the snow. Definitely sleet. I think sleet's definitely going to pile up across Guilford County. And then as we go through the evening hours and into our Sunday, we're definitely going to see the ice take over, and that will bring the greatest impact. No matter whether we get a tenth of an inch, a quarter inch of ice, a half inch of ice, I really pray we don't get half inch of ice, because that's going to be just a crippling ice storm. But no matter what we get, we're going to see these risks. So thanks for your question there. Again, so we'll check in on another question that we got here. What is the impact to Rockingham County? Okay, so Rockingham County is a little further to the north. So a little less ice, a little more sleet is the impact there. And so you can see still expecting impact. Not considerable impact, or disruptions, but definitely disruptions to your daily life is what this winter storm severity index is calling for. And I will go here to a breakdown of our precip types here to show you into Rockingham County to our north. Let me wait for that to do this, and then we'll grab our little pointer tool so we can point. So there's Reedsville, right, into Rockingham County. So we're talking 2 to 4 inches of sleet, maybe a little bit of snow in there. That's how you need to think about this. So you're going to see more sleet, which is like driving on a bunch of tiny marbles. Not good. And then on top of that, we're going to accumulate some freezing rain and some ice on that as well. Maybe anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 inch as it stands right now. If those totals go down a little bit, that's good news. But you're going to put basically a glaze of ice on top of the marbles. So that's not good. So it'll be hazardous travel definitely in Rockingham County, even if you don't get the huge amounts of ice, say to the southern portions of our county, Randolph County, into Davidson County, into Montgomery County, Davie County. You're still going to see significant impacts in Rockingham County. Thank you for the question, though. That was a great question. Again, that number is 336-379-5775, 336-379-5775. If you want to text in some questions, we still have about 4 minutes or so. So that's what I wanted to show you with that winter storm severity index. It's all about the impact, right? We are your weather impact alert team. So we want to get you ready for those impacts. And again, I think you just need to be ready for a long-lived winter storm with multiple types of impacts, especially worried about ice at this moment. Let's talk about the difference between freezing rain and sleet. And I have a story on our website that you can look at and break down all the difference. But the easy way and the delicious way to break it down is freezing rain is a glaze. Think of glazed donuts. The glaze encompasses the full donut and drips around onto the sides and around. And if I'm making you hungry, it is lunchtime, right? So maybe you can go get some donuts. And then what we're thinking of with sleet, it's ice pellets. Think of it more like the sprinkles. And then you can see there, we've got the sprinkles and a glaze on that particular donut. So now imagine basically the sprinkles falling onto the donut and then we glaze it over. Are those sprinkles going to go anywhere? No, they're not very easily. So that is why it's so dangerous to get, and I remember an event in Tennessee where we got 6 inches of snow. I think there was some sleet mixed in there, and then we got just a glaze of ice on the top. We're not talking significant ice, a glaze, and that stuff stuck around. I think it had us out of school in East Tennessee for like a week, and that it stuck around. I mean, it's going to be so hard to clear this. We'll have sunshine on our side by the time we get into Monday and Tuesday, but it's going to be so cold we don't get above freezing maybe until Wednesday. And so, yeah, that's the concern with that. Let me go back and check and see if we got any questions here. We still have just a little bit of time left. Let's see. What are ways to stay safe and warm if you don't have a backup heat source? Everything is sold out. Yes, that is something I definitely have noticed is, in just talking to some friends around here, they went to go get some supplies. Ways to stay nice and safe and warm. So, 2 wants to know that part of our website. So if you go to WFMYnews2.com and you go to the 2 wants to know section, Tanya Rivera actually did a really good, let me pop myself off here and go full screen for you. Tanya Rivera did a really good kind of what to do to keep yourself warm. One of the ideas is to keep everybody in the central room. So